Let's bring in our special guest now. We're pleased here to be joined on Husker Online Headlines by one of the newest additions to the Nebraska Athletic Department, national champion wrestler AJ Ferrari. One of the biggest stories for wrestling right now, as Nebraska finished second in the country a year ago, and now AJ joins Mark Manning's loaded squad to ideally slot into that heavyweight position. AJ, first of all, it's a pleasure to be joined by you, and welcome to Nebraska.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me on, man. It's been a pleasure to join such a, legacy-based team, chasing that title and taking second as a team last year. It's made me hungry, just not only for individual championships like these, first and third this past year, but, team championships. It's always great to have guys, around you to have that camaraderie. And we'll go into that later when you guys talk about any questions you have. But we'll talk about that was the biggest factor for me coming to Nebraska.
Yeah, talk more about just the path to get to Nebraska and how quickly it happened for you. Because obviously you were expecting to go to North Carolina and you had to pivot quickly to land in Lincoln. How stressful was that? And how happy were you that it all worked out to get to Nebraska?
I think it's all part of God's plan. Everything happens for a reason, and I'm so grateful to be here. I mean, the guys here I've connected with so well. Every single one of the guys, I actually just had them over a couple nights ago to watch the MMA UFC fights at my apartment here at my villa. So I'm just blessed by God to be in this situation, and everything happens for a purpose, for a reason. And that's why I'm here in Nebraska, is just the camaraderie, the people, the wrestling, the family environment. It's really a family here. Guys are so tight knit, and again, chasing a team championship is something I've dreamed of. Taking third at Oklahoma State, leading my team whenever I won a national championship there, and here just joining a team that's already taken second last year. So I'm loving it. And then again, like all the coaches, Mark Manning, Tavo Delagnev, James Green, and then Coach Brian Snyder, all of them have real faith, in the Lord. That's number one for me, is the relationship with Jesus Christ, having that Christ-like mind, and that's more important than any national championship. It's great to be a national champion, but what happens off the mat is most important.
AJ, so you've been to Oklahoma State, been to Cal State Bakersfield. What are your initial impressions of Lincoln and sort of the wrestling complex? Is there anything in particular that struck you about it?
Well, first, the facilities and here is next level. I mean, they have the train table. That's amazing. I mean, literally right after I get off this call, I'm going to go get a bite to eat at the train table. Some of the best quality food. We get as many steaks as we want. Right now, I'm eating about 5 to 10 steaks a day. So I've been eating quite a bit of calories to get big. So I usually eat about 5 to 10 steaks a day, or on maybe Thursdays or Fridays. Sometimes I'll do maybe 12 pieces of salmon, 12 4-ounce salmons. So,
nice.
So yeah, it's all organic, wild caught. It's all really healthy, and they have lasagna. They have everything there. The train table is amazing, and the academic support we get is second to none. And then just the coaching room, the coaching staff, all the facilities, the weight room is insane. It's so nice. And then the fan support we have is nuts. So many fans here that love Nebraska wrestling. And I'm just grateful, and I cannot wait to get on Nebraska Land and perform in front of 8,000 people in that arena.
AJ, it's really interesting. Now you're trying to gain weight. You're going to wrestle at heavyweight. How heavy do you want to get? What's the objective here?
I'm trying to touch 250, 255, just touch it.
Okay.
I'd like to get it to there and then cut back down. I know I just did a what are they called? Like a DEXA scan, body scan, where they scan your whole body, right? Right there, I was about I think 10 to 12% body fat. So I'm still pretty lean for a guy eating 7,000 calories a day. Literally, I'm eating as much as I can. I cannot eat any more than what I'm eating. I'm constantly eating every 2 hours, as much as I can absorb. So it takes a lot of digestive enzymes and a lot of lifestyle factors for sure. Huge,
okay.
So it's really a lifestyle of eating constantly. People think cutting weight is hard and sucks, but going up also is not easy. It's very, very hard. If anything, harder.
All right. Interesting.
When you say 10 steaks a day, how many ounces are these steaks? And are these more lean fillets and sirloins or rib? What kind of steak?
These are more usually New York strip is what I like. They're about 6-ounce New York strips, maybe around there, 8-ounce New York strips around there. So I'd say 60 to 80 ounces of meat.
Okay, AJ, we want to pivot a little bit here. I've seen Mark Manning talk publicly, your head coach, about chasing down that Penn State monster. How is that in your mind? Do you think about that? I mean, where is that in your list of goals?
Um, that is great. You know, that's something that's huge here. Like I said, chasing team title, but number one for me is a Christ-like mind community. You know, growing a relationship with the Lord. That's number one. You
Okay.
know, whether I win a national championship or lose a national championship, you know, I want to stay on the straight and narrow path towards the Lord. You know, but yeah, it is amazing to be able to be on a team that's that level, ready to win a team championship. You know, having 6 returning All-Americans plus me now,
Yep.
a weight that they really struggled with last year. You know, the heavyweight did not perform well at all last year, so that's huge for me to come in here and, you know, help join this team and ultimately lead the upper weights to domination, you know, finishing out strong, you know. I'm just super excited, you know, for this team atmosphere and just for us to perform and go out there and have fun. You know, I love wrestling. I love performing. I love the pressure. I love the bright lights. And I always perform because I always, you know, trust in the Lord and trust in my training, you know. So, but yeah, it's going to be a great year, and I look forward to it. And like I said, just everybody in Nebraska has been amazing, you know, and the Big Red are coming, you know.
You've
There you go.
you've been around a lot of wrestling coaches in your career. What makes Mark Manning unique? And I mean, just from my view, he seems like he's universally beloved in the wrestling world, and everybody either that wrestles for him or doesn't still really has high praise for Mark Manning. What are your views of Mark Manning? I'm sure you've known him for a long, long time.
I have known for a long time. I actually almost came to Nebraska back in 2019. When I
Right.
took my official visit here. But I mean, I'd be careful what you're saying there because not everybody loves Mark Manning. A lot of people don't like Mark Manning too because of his personality, because he's very outgoing, he's very loud, he's very into it. You know, he that's one thing that I like a lot about him the most, to be honest, was that his energy. I mean, especially for his age, his energy is insane. I mean, I don't know how his energy is so like go go go. He's always on us, always pushing us, always ready to go, always fired up. You know, and Coach Mark Manning, one thing other coaches haven't done compared to him, he's evolved with the sport of wrestling. You know, his wrestling, his technique, his mindset, his perspective has evolved. It continues to improve. You know, and in wrestling, you have to continue to evolve your wrestling, otherwise you will get beat. You know, so I think as a team, he understands that. He's never had a number one recruiting class. Like if we had a number one recruiting class, we would dominate. You know, his recruiting class I think was like number 5 or number 10, and he turns these guys into NCAA champions. You know,
Interesting. AJ, another something you mentioned off air caught my attention. So you're about 6'1", trying to get to 250, but 67-inch arms. How is that?
well, 6'7", so it would actually be 80. So 6'6"
Come on,
is
Tip, get your math down.
Get my math.
6'8" would be 80. So it's 79 inches, 79 inches, which is 6'7".
6'7" reach is what we're talking about.
Right.
So how does that benefit you in the sport of wrestling?
It benefits you a lot, you know, helps a ton because I can get in on my single legs from far away. I can, you know, I can get to like when I'm riding on top, I'm trying to chop, I can get to the wrist before they get to me. A lot of different, and I can just put on more muscle. I don't appear as bigger, but longer levers create more force. So
Sean doesn't understand that stuff, so we got to talk him through it.
Now, AJ, this is a big football community. I mean, have you been able to jump into football and meet some of the football guys and kind of get a feel for the other athletes on campus?
big time. Yeah, I actually hung out with a lot of football guys about like maybe a couple days ago, last week. I hang out with them on probably a daily to weekly basis. I hang out with football guys just as much as I hang out with the wrestlers because a lot of football guys I have a good relationship with. There's a kid named Bodie I'm good friends with. There's a bunch of guys on the team that I'm friends with. Yeah, but it's just been a great environment hanging out with them, and I'm just grateful to have them as a friendship. And I'm supposed to actually go, and that's the thing with Coach Mark Manning is like Coach Mark Manning under promises. Like there's other coaches that like try to recruit you and they say, oh, you come here, you try to go heavyweight, you go heavyweight. We'll let you eat and work out with the football team. Like they never told me that here, and I'm already getting that access. Like I'm supposed to be working out with the football team possibly in the next couple of weeks.
Awesome. Now, we've talked about Tervel Delagneff.
Yes.
He's upper weights coach here. What kind of, I mean, how much of a factor was he in your decision, and how can he help you?
He was huge. He always talks to us about like small battles, like daily, like the battle with lust, the battle with vanity, the battle with pride, winning the small battles on social media, and it grows in your wrestling skills, you know? So, man, Coach Duvel is such an amazing coach. You know, nothing but amazing things to say about him and just his, you know, people don't understand. He's really the guy that helped make Snyder into the man he is, you know, helped him win the Olympics.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, his helping the upper weights is huge. You know, I think that he's gonna be the guy that helps me win not only NCAA championship this year, but also, you know, wins 2028 Los Angeles Olympics at heavyweight or 97 kilos, whatever way I decide to go. And then on top of that, just making sure you're on the straight and narrow. Like he's always texting me, like he texted me maybe 2 nights ago, Saturday night. It was like, I know you have a lot of people hitting you up. You know, you're the big man in town. You know, make sure you're making good decisions, staying locked in. You know,
Nice.
being disciplined. He's always reminded me of the big picture. You know, it's bigger than just tonight. You know, you got big things going on. So stay disciplined, stay steadfast on the Lord.
Hey, before we let you go, we were talking off the air about just the autographs and the pictures. Give I mean, how many autographs and pictures would you estimate that you've signed and taken since you've been at Nebraska?
If I had to guess, over 1,000, well over a couple thousand. I mean, it's been a little bit overwhelming at times, like especially when I'm about to train and practice. We got camps going on, and then I'm warming up, and I got like 5, 10 kids come out for pictures, and all of a sudden there's another 20 kids, and there's another 100, and then if I don't do all 500 kids, they're gonna. So eventually, I had to be like, man, guys, I gotta train. I gotta get back and shower. You know, like I can't be signing autographs for 4 hours a day. You know, just too much time out of my day to train. But I do talk to a lot of the younger generation. I like giving back to the young kids and, you know, telling them that, you know, I'm nothing but a vessel, you know, of the Lord Jesus Christ. You know, God has just used me and given me power and parable of the talents. You know, God's given me talents. You know, you have an obligation to use those talents. And I think it's important to understand that just because you may have 5 talents, somebody else has 10 talents, someone has 1 talent, you know, you have to use your talent to the best of your ability, you know. And the worst thing in life, you know, in life is wasted talent. So many guys who could have been, should have been, would have been this, but they decided to take the easier route, you know. And I always take the harder route, and it always pays dividends.
Well,
Nice.
AJ, we really appreciate the time, and I can tell you there's never been this much excitement about Nebraska wrestling in the time I've been around Nebraska, and we are going to dedicate covering the program a lot more this year. We're excited about having more coverage of Nebraska wrestling, and we appreciate you joining us here on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me on, and I look forward to bringing back making this into a team title, right? Goal,
There you
baby.
go.
Let's go. I'm fired up, man. I can't wait. And I hope you guys' the show continues to do amazing. I always hear, you know, I don't do a lot. This is my first show podcast I've done with anybody just because I've heard great things about you guys' show. So that's why I came on, you know, and that's why it was recommended to me.
Well, wow. Hey, AJ, we appreciate that. Great job by you.
And if you see Coach Manning, Sipple refers to him as the Silver Fox. So you can say, Coach Sipple told me to tell you to call him the Silver Fox.
Okay, I will. I'll tell him.
Silver Fox or the Mangler. I like calling him the Mangler too.
That's
Watch
fun.
out for the Manglers, AJ.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right. Thanks again.
All right, go get him, AJ.
Ferrari for joining us here on Husker Online Headlines.